The John Sterling Show.
Entertaining and informative.
On the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Well, welcome back, everybody. I have a really good buddy for years and years and years ready to go. And now we go to the 77 WABC ActionCarting.com phone line. New York City's premier waste and recycling provider. The guest is Jack O'Connell, better known in our group as Jackie O. Hello, Jack. How you doing?
John, I'm doing well. How are you?
Very good. Very good. This is a labor of love. We're on for an hour, 4 to 5 on Saturdays, Jack, and that's about my speed now, doing one day. So why don't you begin? We're going to talk about the Hall of Fame in a minute, but why don't you begin and talk about your newspaper past?
Oh, boy. Well, we'll go back to the late 60s. I was living on Long Island, and there was a paper that started there out in Suffolk County. It was run by the Coles Communication people that ran Look magazine, and it was called the Suffolk Sun. And I got a job there as a copy boy, and I was going to community college at the same time. And, a job opened up, and I started working. It was 1968. I was only 19 years old, and I was still a kid.
Boy, were you a kid?
That was where it all began. That paper eventually went out of business. I went up to Rochester, New York, and I covered the AAA team there. Don Baylor was the minor league player of the year, and that's when I first met him. Then I went out to Michigan for 7 years, covering mostly basketball, actually. I was on the Pistons beat. And unfortunately, I lost a job there during a strike, and I came back to the New York area and latched on with the Bergen Record. And that was when I started covering baseball pretty much full time. I went on the Mets beat in 1980, and I covered the Mets for 9 seasons. And then I switched to the New York Daily News, covered the Mets for a couple of more years there. And then, again, a strike was, you may remember, a strike was looming in 89, and it didn't look good, and I wasn't going to go through that again. So the Hartford Courant was interested in hiring me as a baseball writer, so I went there to cover the Yankees. And you and I shared many a cab ride and several dinners over the years.
We sure have.
So that's kind of the bibliography, I guess. Then the business of 50 years. This is my 50th year as a member of the Baseball Writers Association. I've been the national secretary, treasurer of the association since 1994, and so I'm the guy that does all the ballot, takes care of all the ballots for our awards, and runs the Hall of Fame election. So I'm still in harness.
What a great career! I love to find out where people have been. It's great in broadcasting because, in broadcasting, everybody moves continually. That's the nature of the business, Tell our listeners about how you're involved in the Hall of Fame. I think it's great.
Well, the baseball writers have been voting on the Hall of Fame since the original, since the Hall opened. Even before there was a building, in 1936, Ford Frick, who was then the president of the National League and had a very strong connection with the BBWA, he had recommended to the Hall that the writers be the electorate, and Commissioner Landis agreed with him. They had been very happy with the fact that we took over the MVP award, the Most Valuable Player award, in 1931, when the owners really didn't want to give it out anymore because they didn't want to pay any bonuses. But he thought it was important. It was an important PR effort, particularly in the off season. So within a couple of years, the MVP award became a major award. And they appreciated how the baseball writers did that. So that was how we got the Hall of Fame election in '36. And I started. My first election was 1995, and our old friend Jeff Idelson, who Jeff and I had been very close during his time with the Yankees. I was covering, and he was the PR guy. he had left the Yankees to be the public relations director for the World Cup when it was here in 1994, and then he was hired by the Hall of Fame as their vice president. And the fact that we knew each other and were friendly, and the two of us have worked together for years up there, it really, I think, helped cement the relationship the baseball writers had with the Hall of Fame. So, in fact, as we're speaking, I just sent them the upcoming 2026 ballot. The process actually begins in April. I get a list of the people who, the first criterion for being in the Hall of Fame is you got to play 10 seasons. So I get a list of players. It goes to a committee of writers who whittle it down to a workable number. And the ballot then goes to, I send it back up to the Hall. They put together some biographical information, and all of that goes out the Monday before Thanksgiving, and the writers have until New Year's Eve to fill out the ballots and mail them back. So the process, believe it or not, for next year's election has already started. And it's a great, and the reward for this is simple, John. I get to make the phone call to the person who gets elected, and it's the kick everybody thinks it probably is. It's a treat to be able to tell CC Sabathia or Billy Wagner, Ichiro Suzuki, that your dream has come true. It is a special moment.
Well, I can only imagine. I've talked to a lot of the broadcasters who've gone into the Hall, and what a great feeling. Stays with you for the rest of your days. I have a question to ask you.
Sure.
About the Hall of Fame. When it started, the newspapers were everything. Now, that's changed unbelievably. The newspapers are hardly everything now. You think that some broadcasters, the guys who see their team play every single game, you think they should get a vote?
I don't want to get mad at me, but because we've been friends for too long. But I would say no, and I'll tell you why. I think that the conflict of interest, I think, would be an issue. Now, I know plenty of broadcasters. I know that if they were voting, they would vote their conscience. But I think that the perception a lot of people may have is that they would vote for the people that the owner of the ball club they work for tell them to vote for.
Okay, that's fair enough. That really is fair enough.
And as I say, I know plenty of broadcasters, such as yourself and my late friend Ben Scully and some others who I know would have voted their conscience, and still plenty of people out there today. But I think that perception is what would hold it back.
Oh, I think that perception is there. I'm with you. Tell me about this summer and baseball in New York. I had said when I opened up, I think the Mets have a better chance to finish first. I think the Yankees have more holes. Now, that can all change by July 31st. But, the Yankees are going out there looking for a third baseman and looking for bullpen help. And I don't see a lot of teams looking to help the Yankees. So that's why I said, what are your thoughts, Jack?
Well, the way this game is now, it's bullpen ball every night. So
absolutely.
You get to this part of the season, and the bullpens are everybody needs bullpen help. And now that there are more teams that feel that they're in line for a playoff berth, so there are more playoff berths, there aren't that many sellers. So I don't see how, unless a team is willing to give up, like a few years ago when the Brewers traded Josh Hader, which everybody was surprised about. I don't see that there's that much help out there. And for the Yankees situation, they have enough firepower in that lineup that they just should get a defensive-minded third baseman, bat him 8th or 9th, just make sure he makes all the plays. I mean, don't get another Josh Donaldson. I know there's been talk about Suarez. You don't want to butcher at third base. Get some strong defensive guy. I mean, if Cabrera was still active, I would just put him there and let him play there.
Well, I would too. They have that. Peraza is a very good defensive third baseman. He can't hit at all. And I thought about that, Jack. Put him at third base, tighten up your defense. And as you say, they have so many guys who get home runs. They might be okay. It'll be
John, for 100 years, lineups had pitchers batting 9th. And the game was fine. So you get a third baseman that can pick it at third base. Batting ninth. Don't worry about the offense. That's what I think. I think they want to tighten that defense. They've done that in a way by moving Chisholm back over to second base. They have a Gold Glove type first baseman in Goldschmidt. Volpe won a Gold Glove a few years ago. So just tighten up the defense. They seem to have enough firepower. Now, where they're going to get the relief pitching, and I would say the same thing to the Mets, I don't know.
No, I don't know either. As I said, 7 teams make the playoffs from each league. So there are a lot of teams that think, hey, if we can get in, look what can happen. Remember what happened with Washington in 2019. They were 1 out away from being knocked out of the playoffs in that, what did they call that, Jack? The one game gotta get out. They were playing Milwaukee.
Right.
And
the play-in game, the wild card play-in game, yeah.
Yeah, and they got a couple of guys on. They filled the bases against Josh Hader, who you mentioned before, on a walk and a hit batsman and a bloop. And they were about ready to get knocked out of the playoffs, and Juan Soto drilled a shot that actually went past Trent Grisham, scored everybody. Washington won the game, and what do you think happened? They went on to win the World Series.
Went on to win the World Series, yeah.
No, I think that every team kind of thinks that if we get in, who knows? Now,
yeah, exactly.
Now the Mets are gaining back Manaea and Montes, and they now have a name value. This is all name value. They have a very good starting 5, and they have the closer in Diaz. I think the Mets have an awfully good team, and one of the reasons I think that, Jack, is that forget about the top 4 guys. Their top 4 is terrific. But then the other guys, they manage to hit home runs. They don't hit for a high average, but all their young kids, Alvarez and Vientos and Beatty and Mauricio, they hit the ball out. They may not get a lot of hits, but anyway, I think the Mets have a heck of a team.
I think so too. It was good to see Senga get back on the field last night. He pitched 4 shutout innings. So I think their rotation, if Manaea can come back, will be in decent shape. I think they may have overused Garrett a little bit early on, and he's been struggling a little bit, although he pitched pretty well last night. Yeah, I like the Mets' chances. I think there's been a lot of talk about the bottom of their lineup being a little soft, but like you say, they've got some pop. They've got some pop there. McNeil has had a turnaround season. That's been important for them, and I think there's more to come from Soto. Nimmo's having an excellent year. Soto, I don't know what happened the first 6 weeks, but he's turned into more of the player we saw in the Bronx in recent games. Very impressed also with the way Mendoza works with that team. I'm very happy to see him get that job, and I think he's done terrific work for the Mets.
Well, I think so too. And I see every day how he just changes the lineup a little bit, and then he has the top 4: Nimmo, Lindor, Soto, and Alonso. Well, that's awfully good. Phillies are a good team too, so that'll be a good battle the rest of the way. Jack, I thank you for coming on. You can come on anytime you want. And I'm awfully glad you decided to take that job as a newspaper man for the Suffolk News. It didn't work out, but it was a good start, right?
It was a good start, and I have good memories of that time. And it's great talking to you, John. I can tell you that wherever I go, people ask how you're doing, and I'm going to tell them, put on your radio 4 to 5 on Saturdays at WABC, and you'll find out that he's back in harness and he's doing terrific.
Yeah, it's the easiest show of all time with guests like you, and upcoming will be Dan Shaughnessy. Anyway, Jackie O, thank you, and we'll talk soon. We have to have a dinner soon.
You're on. A prime rib somewhere.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Thank you, Jack.
Okay, thank you.
And that's Jack O'Connell, and we're going to hit a break and pay some bills, and then truly one of the great writers in sports newspapers, is coming on. Dan Shaughnessy of the Boston Globe. Upcoming in a moment here at 77 WABC.
The John Sterling Show on the Red Apple Podcast Network.